this is a kind of video that I have been wanting to do for quite a while, but I just never really got around to it. Basically, I'm going to be breaking down the entire album that I just released, Identity, song by song, explaining kind of the process of writing it, some music theory, some, fun facts, maybe even showing you some older versions, and just overall kind of explaining the song, generally speaking, and then diving more into the minutia of it. Is it going to be interesting? I don't know. Hopefully. I think it'll be fun to kind of see the process of how I write music, and then also there's a lot of, hidden things that you wouldn't necessarily notice just listening, unless you're a producer. So I've got my setup here. I'm using Logic Pro. I've used Logic Pro for years now. I absolutely love it. Before Logic Pro, I used GarageBand, and I have a whole philosophy about when you should switch, or if you should switch from GarageBand to Logic Pro, but that's for a different video. So the first song on the album is called Funk Park, and it's a song that, interestingly enough, actually wasn't going to be an album initially. It was part of a series that I've been doing for the past 5 years, actually, called the Beat Series. And the idea behind the Beat Series is it was a writing and production exercise that I would do to just kind of get my creative juices flowing. And I would sit down at my keyboard, at my piano, and task myself with writing an instrumental beat-style song within a day. Or within an hour. I don't know. Depends. I never really gave myself a structured time limit, but typically within a day. Just as a way to, really just get myself in a creative headspace. And it ended up being a really useful tool. I ended up using a lot of the music that I wrote from that series, and adapting it to some other songs that I'd written. So some of the albums that I previously wrote had songs that were initially in that series, and then I would kind of change and add lyrics to and fully flesh out. This is one of those songs, but actually I didn't flesh it out and didn't advance it, I guess, to become part of this album. It was just going to be part of the album that I just released, which you didn't even know existed because I didn't tell anyone about it. But a collection of those songs, the Beat Series, also Fresh Produce, because beats, I don't know, it was a joke. That's out right now. It's been out for a couple months, and it's, if you want to listen to that kind of stuff, but it's instrumental. This was the only beat song that wasn't instrumental. It had lyrics. The lyrics were iffy. They really weren't lyrics, but I ended up last minute saying, I think this is good enough that it kind of fits the vibe, and people like it, so that's good. Let's just take a listen to some parts, and then I'm going to break down. I mean, there's really not that much going into it, which is crazy, but let's kind of listen to this. So I started off with these Chameleon Bells, which I'll give you a little sample of what that sounds like. They're kind of cool. They're part of the arpeggiator that's built into Logic. It has different ones, and then this is synth bells. And they just gave this really weird da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I can isolate that for you. Which is kind of weird because it's a very crucial element of the whole song. It basically doesn't stop throughout the song, and yet it's such an impactful part of the song, and yet nobody really mentally hears it or auditorially hears it. You can't hear it otherwise, but no one pays attention to it is what I'm trying to say. So it kind of just exists there. But now that you've heard it, you'll probably hear it now when I play it. But anyways, let's listen. So, coming with a cop show clav. Clavichord is a really sick, funky style, hence Funk Park, and it feels very, so. It's just playful, cute. I don't know. So the chord that I start on is a weird inversion. So with inversion or voicing, some people use different ones, but I usually would use voicing, actually. It's a different voicing of a chord. So it's technically just, oh my God, I'm blanking. A, B, C, D, E, F. It's an F sharp minor 7, right? But I play it in a different way. So I'm actually, so like normally you'd play, you know what, I'll try to do, how do I do this? I always forget. I never do this. Oh, you could just see the sheet music, but we're not trying to do that. I'll do it like that. So I'll kind of show you, you can kind of see in this piano right here, over here. That's kind of hard to see. Doesn't matter. You don't need to see it. The point is, I'm playing, you can hear how the difference of, those should sound slightly different. They're technically the same chord. It's just a different note arrangement of playing them. So taking the high E and dropping it down to a lower E. So those are the same note, obviously. Those are octave down, octave apart. And then we add in this third. It's second. I don't know. Music theory is weird, but it's just a whole tone up from the bass, which obviously the bass is F sharp. So we're playing that F sharp minor 7 chord there. Then we jump up just to an A major, real simple, to a B. Super simple chords. It's 3 chords, and yet it's got some feeling. It's got some groove. Obviously, to add to that groove, we use the Big Cow Bell Disco Break. Fun fact, all of the beats I use for the most part in my, all of the beats I use, except for my live music, is all sampled and loops. And there's some other songs where I do some crazy stuff with those loops. But for this one, it's just simple, you know? You just... Right? It's just simple. Nobody's trying to, you know, play out anything crazy, but... So simple. I'm not going to overthink it. Let's just go to the next part. So just kind of weird melody, and then we bring in the clap. Part that gets me, at least, is these are kind of very tight sounding stuff, right? So the bells are kind of they're all synth based. Clav isn't synth, but it has that kind of that feeling of being very kind of closed and very there's not a real way to describe that I can think of, but what makes it so impactful, this next part, is we come in with, so this disco beat, right, is acoustic, right? But it's also hyper compressed, like really compressed. But this drum fill is just, it's nothing special, right? When you hear it, it sounds like nothing. But what happens is we come in with grand piano, right? So we're bringing in that lovely, lush, oh, I don't know why it's coming out from one side. There you go. And that just instantly is like, oh, there's a different sound going on here. There's a more richness. There's more boldness in it. And then we bring the bass in here. Really simple bass line. So nothing new. And then, finally, we have this South African singers, one of my favorite sounds. Just really lovely sound. You can listen to that. So rich. So it's bringing in these, you have these compressed sounds, and we're bringing in a more rich and balanced sound on the break. And it just works. So, I mean, you can tell me if it works, but I think it works. nothing complex. These are simple things, but it's effective. And then you get that big, oh, we're so, bold and grand. And then you're just getting bass and a beat and vocals. We bring in the vocals. And that's a technique that a lot of, obviously, I'm sure you can think of a billion songs. I can't think of anything right now, but there's so many songs that, happen. You have the big swell, and then boom, now we have vocals, and it's just the backbones. And we bring in we reincorporate different elements to build back to the chorus or whatever. Although there really isn't a chorus in this, I would say the chorus is the instrumental part with the big swell, because that's the climax of the song, but it's, anyways, the vocals are super simple. We'll break down the vocals a little bit. I was vibing in a park on a lovely afternoon. Plug my headphones into the jack. I was blasting some tunes. They say I don't know how to dream, but I dream way too much. They say I am confident, but I bite my lip and blush. I was vibing in. Super simple, right? Nothing crazy about these lyrics, or the voice itself. From a vocal standpoint, we're bringing in there's a lot of sass and energy. I was vibing in a park on a lovely afternoon. It's just kind of like, ooh, you get that Bobby feeling. Like, I can't listen to this song without moving, which is the goal. You might be able to listen without moving because I keep pausing it. But real quick, breaking down a production standpoint of how I do vocals, it's really, really simple and probably not the best technique, but it works for me, and if it works for you, then great. Vocal processing and drum processing are the two hardest things a producer has to do and a mixer has to do, because the voice is so important and drums are so difficult. And so people will spend years working on this kind of stuff and finding a technique. I've spent years doing it, and I ended up finding a very strange loophole to make it work. So I use, as you can see here, I use a clean echo guitar amp that's built in. And I do some different things to it, but ultimately, it's basically just that. So we'll go in, hear all of the things that are going on, right? I'll show you some raw vocals, and you'll be like, ooh, that's bad. Which, if you say it's bad, the raw vocals, then it means my processing was good. So you really can't annoy me. But so it comes in with noise gate. So you know what? I'm going to show you. We're going to add in here. Oh, snap. This is a new system. I forgot about this. I love that. This is an audio file that is raw, right? Nothing here in the effects. No EQing being done. I just go in, click voice. Sorry, lied. Go to electric guitar and bass. Go to clean guitar, go down to clean echoes, and we're almost there. We're almost done. You'll see that we get noise gate. That's just, it cuts off a certain threshold when it goes below a certain threshold. So if you're singing, you take a breath, it can tell how loud you're singing and then cut right as you stop singing so you don't hear that background stuff. It just crispens the audio a little bit. It's got a pedal board with a few pedals, an amp, channel EQ, a compressor is important, and simple delay. Simple delay is also important, and it's weird because I do it in a weird way, but I've stopped using it, and I could tell you a whole story about why I stopped using it, but I'm not going to. So we leave the noise gate as like that. Then we come in here to the pedal, and we don't change anything. It's just got a delay and a squash compressor. So there's two compressors going on right now. We go to amp, and we turn amp off. That's the step one. Because if you do amp, you can hear, I don't know if you can hear actually. Hold on. Ooh. Yeah, we don't want to do that. That's going to give you a headache. The point is, it's very crunchy because it's supposed to be guitar, right? Get rid of that. No more amp. And then we're just going to go into simple delay and link these two and pull them about 1390. 1390. That's it. It's really simple. And I'll show you what it sounds like when I turn off. So these are the raw vocals Or this is the vocals isolated, not raw.
I was vibing in a park on a lovely afternoon.
Really not my best performance, but you hear a little bit of echo, you hear crispness, there's a lot of compression, and that noise gate is cutting it off, right? Now I'm going to turn everything off, and you're going to be like, whoa, probably.
I was vibing in a park on a lovely afternoon.
First of all, already clipping. Not a great sign. Clipping is when you see here down in the red, it's going to clip, right? It's going to go.
I was vibing.
It's too loud. That's why I have the gain, actually. I have the gain up a little bit because the compressing turns it down. That should make sense. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's not good sounding. Does that mean I suck as a singer? A little bit. Maybe a little bit, yeah. But mainly it's just processing. And everyone does it. Listen to any musician. Any musician who says that they don't process their vocals is lying to you, and they wouldn't tell you that because everyone does, and it's okay. But there you go. I will point out that I don't have any auto-tune on. Some of the other ones you'll see I do. But that's a vocal processing for you. Try it out. Let me know how you feel it. I mean, maybe you're not a producer, but that's what I do, kind of. So there we go.
I was vibing in a park on a lovely afternoon.
We don't need to listen to it. Let's go to the next part. I have some weird backing vocals that even I'm a little bit like, and once you hear it, you're not going to be able to unhear it when you listen to the song. So just be aware if you want to have the song kind of ruined for you. I'm not a big fan of these. I kind of tone them out. But it's, I've learned that when you're making music, you'll hear something so many times that eventually it'll sound bad, even if it's okay. And at a certain point, you just kind of have to believe that it'll be fine. And I have people to come in and say, that sounds trash. Nobody's ever mentioned this. But I think isolated, it doesn't sound great. I haven't really listened to it isolated in a while. Let's hear. Weird stuff going on, right? So one of the things that's going on, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Hold on. So one of the things is that it's pitch shifted. So this one is not the original pitch. Sounds like a weird robot. And you never noticed that before. But it's there. And it's a weird trick that I can't explain. But it does something. But it sounds weird when you isolate it. Sounds like a little alien. You're not going to listen to it and be like, oh my gosh, I hear the alien. Listen, let's see if we can hear the alien.
I am confident in a buzz. I fight my lip and blush. I was vibing in a park.
Right, and there it is. When you're listening, you're not noticing it, but it's there, and it's awkward. But it works. So it's like this weird balance of, it feels weird and wrong, but it's subtly influencing how it feels in a good way. And I don't know why that is. Because you can't... making music like this is like composing, like scores, right? If you took just the piccolo or just the... I don't know. I can't even think of anything. The Congo drums. They might not sound okay. They might be weird and have just, one beat and then it doesn't do anything, and one beat, or a weird diddly-do. You can't pick apart different pieces and have them sound good all the time. It's all about the incorporation because you're listening to it as an incorporation, and the listener isn't usually dissecting every sound. If they are, they're probably a producer. It's just a weird trick. Don't know. And then the ending goes into a pretty standard... I'm just going to move this around. The ending goes into a pretty standard... I do like the... that little pause. The drums are they keep going, but everything else stops, and then, it's just kind of fun. And a scream is always fun. I'm not really a screamer or like a yeller. I don't yell sing, so that was a fun thing to try. It goes back into the same thing. The one part that's different is the end, and it just gets a little fun, you know. Just some showmanship, you know. Just be fun with it. Have fun. That's all music is, right? Anyways, that's the first song. Really weird format, but I liked it. I hope you liked it. It's weird to talk about music and nerd out like this, but you know, it's also really fun. It's so simple. It's the simplest track, I promise. If you watch the other videos, it's a lot more in depth about, oh my gosh, look at the 100 things I used. There's a total of 20 tracks used, and one of them, sorry, actually, it's more like 16 tracks. That's a career record for me. But I hope it helped, and I hope it was interesting at least. And if you learned anything, awesome. And if you had fun, great. The next video, I think, is going to be about Blood Rose, which is a really fun one. You should watch it. There's a lot more like Easter eggs and stuff, and how I did it, and a lot of cool production stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching.